What is the darkest truth about human nature? That we are born evil, or that we only stay good because of invisible rules holding us in place? In 1974, one woman decided to find out, not in a lab, but in an art gallery. She surrendered her body to the public with a chilling promise: do anything you want to me. The result was 6 hours that revealed just how quickly kindness dissolved, how anonymity breeds cruelty, and how a single human choice can tip the balance between life and death. This is the story of Rhythm Zero, Marina Abramović infamous experiment that forced the world to stare into the abyss of its own nature. The experiment took place in Naples, Italy in 1974. Abramovic stood silent, without moving and without showing any expressions. Next to her, there was a long table with 72 objects. The rules were printed on a placard: I am the object. During this period, I take full responsibility. That sentence alone erased any consequence. She was not a woman anymore, she was an object, and the audience was not accountable. The object placed on the table, they were part of pleasure and care, or pain and danger. Pleasure and care, they had roses, perfume, honey, grapes, water. And pain and danger, we had scissors, knives, chains, a scalpel, and even a loaded pistol with a single bullet. She had built a stage for the entire spectrum of human intent, from tenderness to murder. At first, the audience hesitated. Someone gave her a rose, someone kissed her cheek, but then came the scissors. Snip! Her top fell open. Laughter spread throughout the room. By the 4th hour, things turned violent. Blades cut her skin. Someone drank her blood. Stranger touched her body without consent. The climax of the experiment came when one man placed the pistol in her hand, aimed it at her own neck, and waited to see if she would pull the trigger. Others had to intervene to stop him. And then the silence broke. The 6 hours ended, and Abramovic finally moved. She began to walk towards the crowd. Suddenly, everything changed. The audience scattered, fleeing her gaze. People who had cut her, touched her, nearly killed her, could not face the human being they had turned into an object. Abramovic later said, "What I learned was that if you leave it up to the audience, they can kill you." But Rhythm Zero is not proof that humans are monsters. It's proof that of something subtler and scarier. How fast a moral boundary can collapse when two conditions are present: anonymity and diffusion of responsibility. In the crowd, no one felt personally accountable. The responsibility was hers or the group's. Once a few crossed the lines, others followed, because the new normal had shifted. And the scariest part, most of the audience were not sadists. They were ordinary people who did nothing while cruelty escalated. The silence of the many gave permission to the few. But there is another interesting part in this experiment. Some people actually became protectors. They stopped the gun from being fired. They wiped her wounds. This is the lesson that almost nobody talks about. In a collapsing moral environment, one act of conscience can tip the scales back. How can you resist the psychology of the third mentality, whether it is in an art gallery, online, or in a society itself? First, you gotta spot it. Number one would be diffusion of responsibility. When you hear yourself think, "It's not my place, someone else will step in." Number two, anonymity and dehumanization. When people are reduced to numbers, labels, or screen names, this is the same trick used in prisons, online platforms, and propaganda campaigns. What can we do? Number one would be break anonymity. Speak directly to a person. Use names. Call people out of the crowd. When you say, "You in the red shirt, stop that," you turn responsibility to an individual. Be the first person to disagree. Even a single voice saying "this is wrong" changes the group's moral temperature. In Rhythm Zero, the protectors were not the majority, but they mattered the most. And number three, anchor to humanity. Don't let the victim become an object. Look them in the eye, say their name, remind yourself and others, this is a person. The terrifying truth of Rhythm Zero is that cruelty doesn't require evil people. It requires ordinary people, anonymity, and silence. But it also revealed a hopeful truth. Even in the darkest rooms, it only takes a handful of protectors to stop the worst. And that's the choice we have in front of each of us: to vanish into the crowd or to stand out as the conscience that breaks it. If this story made you rethink how fragile morality really is, subscribe to The Dark Mirror, and I'll see you next time.